3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, everybody? We out here once again with another episode of Go, the Mission. And this time, we got a special treat. But before we get into that, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It's the Buff Missionary on Instagram and YouTube. Go the Mission and Setting Sail on all your podcast platforms. And just to get right on into it, I have a guest, special guest, good friend of mine, Vlasta Hybl, with me here on the pod. It's the first time he's been to Michigan in many years. So we're definitely glad to have him up here. And I just knew he's leaving tomorrow morning. It's a 10-hour drive down back to Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I had to get him here tonight before he leaves because I'm not trying to have him come back up here just for the interview. But you know how we roll. But anyways, Vlasta, I want to thank you again just for being here and for taking some time to spend with me on the pod. I know it's late. You've been here all day trying to get some sleep for sure, I know. But I want to ask you a question. Well, before we get to the question, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, man. This is experience for me, you know, and I love fresh experiences, new experiences, so I'm happy for that, and thank you for this invitation. You know, I was born in Czechoslovakia, you know, during the socialism, communism, so I call it right now the fair share of that system, and I know it's cons and pros, and you know, to add to it also, I think all those pros do not justify the cost of it though. So I grew up in that environment, but I became a newborn Christian in 1991 after the revolution in my country, the Velvet Revolution we call it. So I'm a fresh, you know, was fresh convert to Christianity, and I gave my heart, you know, full. I said, Lord, everything I am and everything I have, it's yours. From now on, you know, every day of my life, it's yours to do what you want with it. And he did, he listens well, and he doesn't miss this, you know, when somebody says, here I am though. And so I became a Christian, and shortly after that, I became a evangelist. In 1994, I started doing part-time marriage evangelism in my free hours in the afternoons, and I liked it. I'm like, man, it's fun, it's adventurous, you know, the surprises, and I want to share, you know, the love that I have in my heart towards Jesus. And it was actually a Steps to Christ that I also purchased with donation that showed me how to be really converted, how to pray to God, you know, and those things. It really made, you know, lay down those specific steps to get to Christ. It was so meaningful. I love that book so much that until now, actually, until today, I have read it total of 16 times. Wow. You know, I love Steps to Christ. And so, you know, because the printed page, you know, made some impact on my conversion story and on, I want to share books with others. So I did that in 1995. I became full-time marriage evangelist, and I started going different places in my country. And where I live now, it's my address number 17. That's what LEs do out. You just keep moving, you gotta move,
That's
you
right.
gotta moving. 2003 is there and so on. And I love it. I stuck with it.
Wow, that's amazing. And just that Steps to Christ, I'll tell you guys listening, that book, it's really on another level. I'm actually reading it again myself. I try to read it once through every year ever since I started canvassing in 2009. So I definitely understand. It just helps you to see things in a different, more practical way. Things, the Christian life and that whole experience makes so much more sense looking at it through that lens. I love it. Such a simple but profound book. And honestly, I'm going to be advocating for you to create your own podcast where you can tell all your stories, because I'm telling you, I love hearing the stories. And if we started going on, we could be here all night and all day and all week.
Oh yeah.
But like those stories, to me, I feel like they need to be out there. People need to hear those because they're so inspiring and encouraging to people.
You know, it's interesting you say that because my daughter, she's 24 actually. She's studying right now at Notre Dame University here, and
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yes, and she many times when she heard my stories sharing with our visitors and other students, you know, she comes to me later. She says, "Daddy, you really have to write a book.
Yes.
You really have to write a book. There's just so many stories, you know." I'm like, yeah, well, I guess when I get old and tired, I have nothing else to do. I'll be in the bed for weeks, you know, I'll be bored. I'll be writing a book, you know.
Oh man, you should. Yeah.
And I mean, you know what? Years are passing by, and I'm not sick. I keep going. So
Yeah, you should start just writing a little bit here.
a little bit here, or as you
Yeah.
say, my own podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
maybe,
No, that'd be incredible,
maybe that's the
man.
way, because it's a more modern way too. That's true.
It's true. It's
I
true.
haven't thought about it.
Yeah, and that's a way you could reach. I mean, it's pretty cool. This podcast is not that big, but just looking at the reach that it has, literally every continent, there's countries listening to it. And it's like, it's hard to imagine that a conversation like this could be heard in Czech, like tomorrow. But it's like, it can with technology and everything out there.
It is a great thing. That's a great thing. That's true. You know what? Last year, 2021, in the spring, I realized, wait a minute. I told my wife, you know what? Actually, it is 30 years since I gave my heart to Jesus. It was in the spring 1991. It's 2021. And I was wondering back then, where my spiritual life will be just 10 years or 20 years down the road. I'm like, it's 30 years now. I'm like, what do I do? I mean, what can I give to Jesus?
Yeah.
And because of the COVID, some things were kind of like low key going on. I said, you know what? Let me record some testimonies. And I did it, actually, just in my language, honestly.
Okay,
It was in
yeah.
Czech language. And I just picked, just 10 stories, what I've experienced with God. And he gave me some dreams, he gave me visions, he gave me, very interesting experiences. So I set my mind, it's gonna be just below 10 minutes, each of them, like 7, 8 minutes. And there's gonna be scripture to it, and I'm gonna post it on a Facebook, and I did it. So that was last year in March. So I did that. So in my room, I'm with this, just my camera, and I did it. It was fun. It was fun though. It was fun when I tried to practice my native language, and I was messing up, So my 7-minute video, I recorded like 14 times. It was always a mistake, because I'm a perfectionist. I'm like, I forgot the verse. Let's go back again. So it took me and I did this Sabbath afternoons. I'm like, hey, Sabbath afternoon is a precious time, and I'm sharing, about God's faithfulness. So man, imagine I come from church Sabbath afternoon, get a lunch with the family, then I went upstairs. My wife was like, okay, good luck, guys, don't go upstairs, that is there. And man, supper time, I finally came down, like 4 hours, 5 hours, recording 7-minute video. And it's on a YouTube though, yeah.
Yo, see, that's awesome.
On YouTube and the Facebook, yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who are already just loving those stories and eating them up. Right? They're probably already asking you for more. You don't even know it yet.
Some do, and some folks here in the U.S. they were like, I want to understand, please. Can you do it in English?
Yeah. I mean, how long have you been in the States now?
Well, I came to the United States in 2001, shortly after the terrorist attack in New York and D.C. So I came here in November, and I came here for 3 years studying as liturgy evangelist. I got a degree, ordained liturgy evangelist. In 2004, I went back to Czech Republic to start youth liturgy evangelism, because we didn't have any youth, doing liturgy evangelism there. Everybody there who was doing some liturgy evangelism was 50 years old, 45, I think was the youngest one. And so I was the one that was 30, and I came to US. I studied 3 years. Then I went to Czech and started youth liturgy evangelism that was attached to the seminary, theological seminary, close to Prague. And after 3 years doing that, I got a job over here in the Georgia Cumberland Conference.
All
so
right.
2007, I came here and I live in Tennessee for the past, 15 years almost.
Yeah, man, time flies.
So this is 15 times for me, plus those 30 initial years, back then. So all total 18. I think American now.
Yeah, for sure. So no wonder they want to see it in English. It's like, you're one of us now, man.
And it's this liturgy evangelism for me. It's one of the main aspects that I like about it is the adventure. Really, it is adventure. Always the mission, the adventure, the unknown. Something surprising. And for liturgy evangelist, it's always the next door. The next door, the next drop off.
Right. Shout out
that's
Sam.
Yeah, there you go. And that's always this anticipation of what's there. I don't care. It may be a huge dog, Man, I'll tell you, man, I came as a dog one day, man. It was ridiculous. I'm canvassing in Kansas City. It's a bright sunny day. It was May, I think 2003, man. And it's this interesting neighborhood where every single house has humongous window instead of a wall. Pretty much a window, and there's a door, just barely bricks. And man, as I'm going down the street, the sun is hitting, the windows.
Oh.
So I don't see, it's just blinding me, the reflection. And I come to this door, I knock on the door, man, it's just hot, and then I hear a little dog behind the door, just jumping, just barking. That I'm like, there's a dog, okay, talking. I mean, I'm like, okay, well, I ring the bell again, and just dog, And then I noticed right there on my right, there's this huge glass, and there, the curtain parted right there. But it's in the place where the sun is right there. So I don't see, over the sun. I look, and there's this narrow face staring at me. And I think, wow, that's some granny, some grandma right there, old one, just staring at me. I'm like, hello, can you open the door right here? Just staring at me. The dog is right here, right behind the door. I'm like, hello. She's just staring at me. Okay, well, I show cookbook. A cookbook right here, look at that. Can you come to the door? And she's nothing, man. Then I open a piece of the store, man. And look at this, there's pictures, large print, we can see well. She's just staring at me, I'm like, what is she doing? I come closer to show the pictures, and well, guess what? It was a huge dog just staring at me, standing on the sofa, man. There were two dogs.
Wow.
In my mind, there was only one dog, but there was two dogs. One was distracting me, behind the door. The second one was looking at me, and I canvassed the dog, cookbook and piece of the store. And I'm like, wow, you, and then just really, woof. I'm like, give me a break.
Oh my
It's
God.
fun. There's fun in missions, right?
Absolutely.
With animals of all sorts.
Wow, I didn't expect to hear something like that tonight.
There's all kinds, man. Man, the other day, old lady opens the door. She was like, "It is you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." She was like, "You stole my lunch."
Oh no.
I'm like, "What?" You stole my lunch. I'm like when? I've never been in this place in my life. When was it? Yesterday. I'm like, all right, good luck. Well, I don't remember that. I was not here yesterday. Where was it? It was right here at the door. I'm like, right at the door? Like that's where you keep, you feed your cat or dog. Yeah, right? It was your lunch. I stole your lunch right here at the door, in front of the door. Yeah, man, I put it right here. You came, you stole it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't think this is true. She was like, Steve, she started screaming,
Oh, no.
whole apartment complex. Get him! I'm like, Lord, help me. I'm running away, man.
Oh my goodness.
And on top of that, she had the dentures. She's screaming, her dentures are falling out,
Oh.
man. Dentures are flying, she's catching the dentures in the air, screaming thing. I'm like, Lord, man, it's adventure.
Oh my. Adventure in Michigan. That is a fact. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Vlasta, speaking of mission, the question that I usually start off with is centered on that. I want to know, what does mission and service mean to you?
Primarily, I noticed, as a fresh Christian, back in 1990s, that when I do something for others, then it really helps me to find Jesus, to be like Jesus, because there are situations that I'm being challenged on, what to do with that, okay, how to react, what to do with the situation, and it gives me opportunity to deal with the situation like Jesus did.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I often come to situations when I recognize, okay, something similar Jesus went through, and how did he handle? And whether it's positive or it's tough and hard, sort of negative, and I go through it, it hurts, but still I feel even through the hurt and pain, my heart connected with his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went through the same pain and so on. So I'm doing this mission because it helps me to walk with Jesus, to understand him better, what he was going through, mentally, emotionally, physically, if I experience something a little bit of that kind as well. So that's one thing, okay? So that's why I'm doing it, because I need him there. Second thing is, I know my spiritual gifts. Okay? My spiritual gifts are evangelism, teaching, and leadership. These three. Guess what I'm doing? I'm an evangelist. I'm leading others. I'm leading leaders also. And I'm teaching it. All three things. So when I practice, I put in practice my spiritual gifts, it builds me up. I grow when I practice my spiritual gifts.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, that's deep. And see, this is the cool thing about this. I say in every podcast, everyone's definition for this question is different. But you, with the experience that you have, it's almost like you have a different insight into it. And I've never really heard it described in that sense, in conjunction with spiritual gifts and being aware of what those gifts are. I think I might have taken a test. They had us do that here, I think, a while ago, but I don't remember what the results were. I should probably see if I can find that again.
It was back in Czech Republic. I think it was like in 1993 or so. You know, I was still fresh, you know, in the church. That we had a small Bible study group, and we just sat down. It was 8 of us, and we really knew each other pretty well. In those 2 years, though, we spent together a lot of time. We met twice a week, in the middle of the week and the Sabbath also, and constantly asked. And one day, I was the leader of the group. I said, "Listen, here's a paper. I put my name on top. Each of you put name on top, and we'll pass it on step by step. Okay, on your right." And when you unroll it, you see the name. Just write down, what do you think are the qualities of that person? Okay, just anonymous.
Oh, yeah, we did that in a program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like super well, you know, amazingly organized spiritual gifts seminar and material. Blank paper. You just pass it on. What have you noticed the other person? What do you think? So he went around, and mine came back, I put it in my pocket, came home, and I unrolled it, and I carefully, prayerfully went through it, and like, is this true? Is this true? Yes or no? And there I discovered, until that day, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue.
Wow.
And I looked through it, I'm like, that's a nice kind of character quality, but not a spiritual gift, I think. I went through it, and actually among those, you know, 6 that were there, different minds, I found 3 spiritual gifts. I'm like, you know what? That's true. I don't think that way, but others see it in me. Because it is natural to you, you would not consider it as a gift, but others says, oh, there's a gift. But because it is natural to you, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, that's me, that's like, you know, but I looked at it, I'm like, oh, evangelism, leadership, oh, teaching, wow. And I started practicing it, you know, a couple of years later in the evangelism doing. And I'm like, wow, it is amazing, you know, and it really works. So when I practice those things, I feel like fish in the water, really. And that's
at home.
I grew spiritual, and I'm close to Jesus when I do these things. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And you know, I think I'm gonna do that activity with because we have our leadership here in the dorm, the RAs and the deans. I think that'd be really cool to do with them. It's a great way to really take a step back and see what you notice about other people, but it can be very insightful for yourself as well. Man.
It is worth it. I think it's worth it, really, though. I think we underestimate it as a denomination often. You know, we have other denominations that just so much focus on Holy Spirit, you know, and spirit. We as a denomination, our mind is prophecies.
It's true.
That's what we are about. Okay? Prophecies, you know. But the Spirit.
So, looking at especially the leadership and the training, those right there, within what you're doing right now, you're working with a lot of young people, and you have the opportunity to train these leaders and, you know, educate canvassers in how to do the work. What have been some of the challenges that you've seen throughout the years in what you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to be with you, and you said, you know, just spell it out.
That's right. Uncut, unfiltered. That's how we roll.
I think I will, though. You know, I've been working with quite a few of LEs back in Europe. I did Big Books 10 years. But here in the U.S., combine those 3 years also, I think it's a total of 18 years, mega books. Yeah, I work with hundreds of students and tons and dozens of leaders. I think I see there is a trend of doing things, but with less commitment. Like I do it, but short term. Okay, very short span. Like I almost dare to say, kind of like quite short-sighted understanding of what mission is.
Is it kind of like the experience becomes more of a novelty instead of something that people are actually investing in?
That kind, exactly. I go there for something, I kind of like, I touch it on the surface, I go through it, I've been there, I can put it on my resume,
Check it off the list.
Yeah, I take it off the list, that's how we make people, kind of like, in a domination of someone, but, for me, where I was, and I saw a few others, back 25 years ago, it was like, as I said before, I give everything I have and everything I am. This is me and you, God, I never planned to be a leader. I just I do this work. I do this work for the people. I do this work for the people. I would do it 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, I never thought I would ever be a leader. That was not my purpose. And matter of fact, I had a really hard time at the beginning, I had a very hard time. I canvassed 6 days a week, 8, 9 hours a day, I had time, so I thought the more I do it, the better I get at it. And just learning by mistakes, I just was pushing, I had so much difficulty, a lot of discouraging experiences. We did have a publishing director, but he was kind of re-establishing the publishing work in Czech Republic after 40 years of lockdown. There was no publishing work for 40 years during communism in my country. So he was sent by the General Conference to re-establish. So he didn't have a time to really spend with me in the field. I was just learning by mistakes. But after several years, he comes to me one day and he said this. He said, Vlasta, I don't understand why you have so much hard time. But the only explanation that I can give is that God is preparing you for something much bigger. I'm like,
In the moment, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, well, what do I do with that? Man, and I had no clue that like a couple years later, I will get on a plane. I sold all I had, everything I had, stroller for my baby, everything, and put it on a purchasing ticket, insurance, and fly to America.
Wow.
I gave everything to it though, and now I'm training leaders. I'm going places, and I'm still here. While I would say almost every large evangelist that was working with me back there is gone.
Wow.
I mean, they either retired
because
they were old.
Not gone, but
or they left the work, because they push it too much without the spirit of the work really and stuff, and getting burned out and stuff. But took it easy, nice. But when it gets really, really tough, they say no, it's too much. But I'm just doing it. I don't ask, how much it's gonna cost me. I'm doing it. I felt, God called me. I mean, not everybody is called to do it. I understand that. I know that I was called to do it. I know that. So when tough times come, I ask this, imminent question: Why? Why have you done? In the beginning, because God called me. I know that. And if it's time to have tough week, it's just tough week. That's all it is.
See, that's a really good. There's a lot of lessons there, because too many times when we go through hard situations, we just settle and marinate in the fact that we're going through a hard time instead of asking the question why. Like, if something is happening, it just is what it is. But unless we ask the question why, we won't ever benefit from it or learn anything from it.
Yeah, I mean, my initial why, why I started doing it though, and at the same time, I would say I'm blessed to have a spouse, a wife, who completely understands my mission. And she knew what she signed up for. So when
That's a gift. That is a gift.
Get our luggage and move to another place again, and again and again, and she understands that, because she signed up for that. um, I told her at the marriage, I'm like, are you gonna go with me anywhere in the world? She says, yep, I go anywhere.
Wow.
I don't know why I said back there, would you go with me to Afghanistan? She's like, yes, okay, kind of like, I just picked that country for some reason, I don't know. But that's okay, cool. And and then sometime later we end up in America, though.
Mhm.
It's better than Afghanistan.
Yeah, I would agree.
But she, when I was going through a tough times, was the one to support me. Very good support. And I believe that in every mission field, you should have some partner
Mhm.
that is either there with you, or maybe not on the spot, but even remotely, supporting you.
Yeah.
Say, I got you, I'm there, and encourages you. It's so important, So, like for instance, my first year of evangelism back in Europe, I was working without a car for 6 months, just walking, heavy bag, big books, heavy. I'm working. It's February, it gets super cold. I got sick, I got a fever, end up in the bed. Guess what? My wife comes next morning. She was like, all right, show me the map where you stopped.
Wow.
I continue.
Oh, wow.
Where's the bag? She grabbed the bag. In the afternoon, she keeps going every day until I was well.
That's amazing. See, that kind of commitment, you touched on it. Like, today, it's very hard to convince people that sticking with something through hard times is worth it.
Yeah, and the best actually comes from those hard times.
Yes.
That's where the best is.
Yes. Like, you're talking about how your failure became your great teacher.
Yes.
And that's what allows you to be in the position you are now, with the knowledge and the experience and the stories that you tell. A lot of them are through that learning experience. But today, it seems like people aren't willing to put themselves in the position to fail. And they don't realize that what they're really doing is keeping themselves from a position where they can learn.
I think it's sort of this, I don't know where it came from, but I dare to call it sort of a stigma, kind of, when something hard comes, or a short-term failure, and it might be failure, it's mistakes, they interpret that as a proof that they are not in the right place.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
Like, why? What? Really? Why do you interpret this as a proof you're not supposed to do it?
Oh man, that's really deep.
Because every missionary out there was making mistakes.
Yeah.
Every missionary in the history, you look back, made mistakes. Is that evidence he's in the wrong place? No, come on, welcome to humanity. Like, yo, like, and if that's the equation, then what do you do with the good experiences? Isn't that a proof that you're in the right place?
Yeah. it can't be.
I would say, anyway, you must be understanding, this is what I signed up for, and I would do it because it needs to be done. There's something that needs to be done. Here I am, I would do it. All right, the true leaders for God are those that recognize need right there, and they don't just try to find people and say, there's a need, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
They recognize there's a need, and actually, the truth is that when God showed them the need, they're probably the ones God is going to do it.
Right.
Okay? Just like I tell my kids, when you see there's some dirt, and dust, and stuff on the floor, it's probably that you're supposed to sweep it.
I like that.
So that's a level, that's a sign of maturity. When I see the need, and I take action.
Oh, yeah, that's such a powerful.
That's what Jesus did, right? There's a need to save people, and he is not recruiting.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going. I mean, there was no other one that could do it, but anything else that he did, Jesus here on earth in those 3.5 years of ministry, he saw a need, he said, and I'll do it. You know it.
Showed us how to live. That's the greatest example right there.
I had a student a couple years ago in a summer program, and her two older sisters did mega canvassing as well, and they were good in canvassing. Well, she was the third sister, the third sibling, and kind of like the family. Oh, you should go canvassing too, right? And she was like, okay, well, I don't know. Okay, I will do it. So she came to a summer program, and she's going through, those first couple of weeks, and she was struggling, And then I think it was week 4, her dad called me. He's a pastor, and he called me. He said, Vlasta, she's struggling right there. She talked to me today. She said she wants to quit today. Is there anything you can do for her? I said, I think I can. I will talk to her. I'm just coming to the program. This evening I will see her. So I came to the program, and I put her outside. I said, hey, listen, I want to talk to you. You just tell me what's on your heart. She told me what's on her heart, and she says, look, I don't think I belong here though. I don't think this is good for me though. And I've decided tomorrow, actually, I will give one chance to God. And if God showed me that I am not supposed to be here, I'm leaving. And I said, I will tell you the truth, actually, you will see. I will tell it to you now. If you will be looking for 3 signs tomorrow that will prove to you that you are not supposed to be here, I guarantee you will see them. But if you want to see the signs that God wants you right here, I guarantee you will see it.
Wow.
Guess what happened? She was like, I guess you're right. I said, be non-biased tomorrow, please. Don't seek for reasons, like evidences that, you have to be out, I'm in the wrong place. Please really leave it in Jesus' hands and go with clear mind. Do something for others. Man, she came back in that evening. It was her absolutely best day. She came to me with the biggest smile on her face. She was like, Vlasta, I don't know what I was thinking before, man. I'm staying definitely. And from that day on, man, she just took off. She learned lessons. She was engaged. She loved it. She finished the entire summer program 10 weeks. And I wanted her, at the end to feel like I learned something. I understood something that will stick with me forever. It's not just for the summer and I earn more money, but I don't want the student to feel like I'm a quitter. And besides, it's not that hard. Come on, it's just like shift in the mind a little bit. That helps you for the rest of your life.
That's true. Oh man, I love that you bring that up, because there's something very similar when it comes to canvassing and missions, in a sense of like going to other countries and stuff like that. There's this belief that I don't want to take the time to go serve as a missionary. I don't want to take the time to go canvass because it's going to be taken away from something else I could do that's related to what I'm studying in school or what I want to do long term. And people don't realize that these things only make you better at whatever it is that you're trying to do.
That is so true. That is so true though. You learn in missions, in missionary field, you learn so many skills that just you carry with you to the workplace, no matter which one you go to.
Right.
You
don't leave it there.
Exactly. You don't leave it there. It becomes part of you.
Yeah.
It's you, and you learn other skills that you will hardly learn in other fields, or it would take long, But in the missionary field, because God is involved, He sees your future, what you will be doing in your job, no matter in what capacity, whichever field. It's unique in missionary field because Jesus is there. The blessings He bestows upon you, you can only appreciate it when you look back. You never see it
in that moment.
In that moment, fully, only when you look back. Like, I was still with this guy, at the general conference a couple years ago. He says, what do you see the major difference between God in Old Testament and New Testament? I said the only difference is that it's the same God, but just in New Testament, you have the chance to look back and you see it from a distance, from a different perspective, and see Him in a different light. And it's all of our experiences, you go through some moment and you feel that it's like kind of this Old Testament environment or spirit, this kind of like weird, funny, you don't know what to think of it, like this battle, that kind of stuff. That's what you're going through. And then all of a sudden you go through it, and after some time, maybe months, maybe years, you look back and you realize, oh, that was kind of like a New Testament experience actually. It was empowering me. It was revealing things to me. I just see it better only when I look back.
Perspective.
from different perspective. We don't really see better, towards the future. We just guess, or
Yeah.
we hope.
That's
When
true.
we look back, this history, it's done, it's written, on our souls, in our memories. So it's amazing stuff. So that's what I really see is going on over those years I've been doing, primarily in the MAG books. Canvassing work here in the U.S. among the youth, though, that I work with high schoolers and college students as well, though, that it's the world we live in, that kind of like this quick, immediate satisfaction. You kind of like sign up for a mission, you pay the ticket, therefore you paid for the experience, kind of like the agency have to deliver it. Mission agency, like you have to deliver the experience, you paid for it,
Yeah.
There's gonna be food, there's gonna be this and that. But it's like not many people are willing to go to unknown field,
They don't want to go out of the comfort zone.
The comfort zone. I mean, if I can recommend right now one book that completely crashes this, I would say, modern mentality of what a mission really means, and the book that is true story, I read a couple of years ago. I believe you will find it in ABC stores. It's called Bruchko. Bruchko, the missionary to Motilene tribe in Latin America, by Bruce Olson.
Okay.
That book absolutely blew my mind. One of my leaders told me about that like 7-8 years ago. She says, Vlasta, you got to read that book. And she told me a couple of times, until one time I said, can I borrow it from you? So I borrowed it. And I'm a slow reader. I'm selling books, but I'm a slow reader. I'm like reading 2 pages at a time, close it and think it. But man, that book, I read it in 3 or 4 evenings, I think it was. It was absolutely mind-blowing. I would like to recommend this book to everyone that is going to a missionary field, because that will show you how God cannot be put in a box. And God likes to be unique with everybody, do things a little different, and much different, and like break through the field. And that's what I say, mission is adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like here's a job description, this is do's and don'ts, you do it, you check in, you check out, that. It's not a job.
Yeah.
It's, oh my, that's a different dimension. It's worth of living for and sacrificing for.
Man, I like that. That's you don't really hear people talking about doing things that are worth sacrificing for today. It's more, what can I get?
What can I get?
Everything should be for me. I don't want to give anything, but I want to receive everything. And it makes it hard when it comes to trying to convince people that canvassing or missions is an experience that they should do.
Yes, it is. It kind of like breaks my heart, almost, not probably that much, but it still hurts me when I have a student that comes for a canvassing program, and let's say he's doing well, and these are serious, true experiences and stories that I had a couple of times. And I'm training a student and he's going well week 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And in week 5 he says, man, I want to be a leader. And I'm like, whoa. 5 weeks, like, whoa. He wants to be a leader immediately. I'm like, it takes time, it takes time. You cannot rush carrots in the field, they have to grow. It's pace, you cannot go.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you cannot outpace Holy Spirit. You can delay yourself towards the Holy Spirit's working in your life, but you can outpace him. You can go faster than he is going. He has his pace. If you go by the pace of the Holy Spirit in your life, you could. If you slow down, it's your problem. But sometimes they try to go and rush, get ahead of him. Exactly as you say, then you can hit the wall. Right?
Yes.
So here they ask students, or they say, let's say they came as first timer and they already asked me, they want to be leaders, and it doesn't work well, at the end of the day, and the mentality that I've seen, years ago was different. It was, I come to work for others. That was it. I never thought, even canvassing 5 years, that I would be a leader, or there's a position like a leader, I am here, that's it, that's all that matters. I'm here with Jesus. This is between me and my Jesus on this street. I'm knocking on doors, I'm praying with the people. That's my world. But now it's like, I'm doing something, and how soon can I what else can I get from it?
Yeah.
Title, recognition, stuff like that.
It's interesting how, and I think this is the question that I'm struggling with the most being here at Andrews. How do you think we can move the needle in a more positive direction? How do you think that we can help people to get away from the mentality of doing things only based on what I can get and looking at it more from what I can give?
Yes. I think I'm gonna base this on my experience that I have now from the Southern Adventist University, where I live the past 6 years. There's a lot of good, I would say, spiritual groups, that they do Bible study groups and witnessing and outreach and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to canvassing, it was in not a good shape.
Yeah, I remember.
Not a good shape, man. And so I came to a point when like nobody wanted to canvas, nobody wanted to even hear about it though. So I started with the ground zero, with that. But I started with just one person, then two, then three, then four, then six, then eight, and I put everything I could, listen to them, be there for them, when I eat food with them, be there for them, like invest in myself. Again, it was sacrifice again. And man, I was already 20 years experience in the publishing work, and having a building new canvassing team down in Southern. I have to admit, man, after even like 7 months doing that, I shed tears, man.
Wow.
I'm like, this is hard right here. This is hard. Everybody comes here for degree, diploma, grade, and they go away, give me a diploma, give me a job. But this is a different thing, and so Nodi was the only, team doing some, mission on the field, but for the canvassing. So the way was to start a little snowball, and then making it a little bigger, little bigger, little bigger. So I had 4 students, next semester I had 7. Then I had 12 students, then I had 14, I had 18, and 19, Now I have 20 students active. Last Sunday, we had 12 students going out canvassing. Great momentum, good spirit, atmosphere, love. And I have students, signing up more and more right now. So it's great momentum. So the way to help it right here at Andrews, I think my suggestion would be to find those that are of like mind, get together, find them, that they are here, get together and make some event together, some action, and have a feedback. So what did we gain from it, and what did we give? How it helped us to find God in this mission, a little bit. You may not have, all the best, the first day. Make another event maybe 4 months later, 3 months later, this way or the other. And that way I am confident it creates some snowball. It takes time. It takes time. Just like you don't have a snowman in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You still, even, medium snowman takes half an hour. Okay. So,
yeah, it's true.
So,
you can have all the snow, but it doesn't just happen.
Exactly. Look from the window, you see the snow, but there's no snowman, no single one. Nobody built it.
Yeah.
Nobody they built it.
Oh, man, it's so deep.
Hey, forget the snowman exists, but things don't exist unless you make it happen. In time. So I think right here it's a matter of having some snowball, the good core to build, and then keep it rolling. Have reports, report it, show it, pictures, and others will notice. And the kids that have similar spirit coming from all kinds of backgrounds, families and states will come here and then notice that, I want this here at Andrews. I want to stick with you. And you create this group, these people that will have that good influence on others. And there will be always some that will say, I don't care, it doesn't know my word. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there will be those that would love to, but unless there's some snowball they can stick onto.
That's true. That's such a good point.
They'll be alone though.
That's such a good point. I think I was talking with one of my buddies earlier, fellow missionary, and we were talking about how the culture here is kind of a certain way, and we would love to see it where so many students are going out to be missionaries, but it's like to change a culture, to change a mentality of an entire group, it does take time, and it takes just a little bit here, a little bit there, but It can grow, and we have seen that's the thing that makes it both encouraging and frustrating to a degree, because we've seen the growth over the last few years, but we want more. We got to be patient though. Like you said, going on the Spirit's time, that's the hard part, is to go in His pace.
Very true. Let's go back to the building snowman, okay?
Mhm.
How do you get the snowball? What do you have to do, like physically, and from physics perspective, what do you have to do to get a snowball, big, a medium size, and small one, to build a snowman? You have to press the snowflakes.
Together.
Do you have any snowflakes here?
I think we do.
You have snowflakes right here. I mean, I think this culture of snowflakes, oh, she says something to me. Oh, they did something to me, I don't like it. I'm like, pressing the snowflakes actually make a snowball.
Yeah.
And, and by pressure you apply, you create some heat, right?
It's true.
And the heat is what gets the snowflakes to stick together.
And they ultimately become stronger as a result of all that.
Stronger. So you breathe on the snowflake, it disappears. But when you have millions and billions of snowflakes together, pressed by heat, you apply heat to it though, and they're strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some shape, it takes a shape.
Yeah.
And it becomes a monument. It might have some cool thing besides snowman, it could be something else.
Yeah.
But, I think we can learn from that.
Mm-hmm. Man, I agree. I like that. That might be the title of this episode right here, the snowman. Building a snowman.
I like that. Yeah.
I like it. All right, Vlasta, talk to us about some of the we talked about the challenges, but what about some of the greatest things that you can experience through canvassing as a mission experience?
Oh, yes. I love, first of all, as a leader, training leaders for canvassing, because I believe that's what Jesus did. Mm-hmm. Really, when you look at the 12 disciples, who were they? He was building leaders. They didn't know it. He didn't tell them from the beginning, hello, sign up right here, we're building leaders, though. You have 12 Judases, okay?
Yeah. That's
yeah. He said, follow me. No promise of comfort, providence, and follow me. They followed him, by faith only. That's it. Okay, there's gonna be something we don't know what. Adventure, that's all we know. So building leaders. So I enjoy in the canvassing field training leaders, and working with those that are not afraid to start new things, something that maybe will not work, but keep trying, brainstorming and doing. I love that field. I have a leader now at Southern. I mean, it's amazing. It's a joy to work with him. Anytime we have a meeting, he says, hey, I thought about this. I'm like, oh, I love it. I don't want one that I just say and you just do it, I don't want you to be just follower. I want you to be a thinker, really. So it's a great combination. Mm-hmm. So I'm training, I would say every other year, a new leader right there for my team down at Southern, and new leaders in the summer canvassing. Then I love seeing students that are from elementary school coming to high school, and I work with them. Then they come to college, and I work with them, and I see the progress in their spiritual walk with Jesus. That's the joy that I love to see, that gives me the satisfaction. And then eventually some of them become leaders, and they didn't know about it 5 years ago, but sticking with it, being persistent, I'm thinking of a few of them right now, the humble ones that don't raise their hand, hey, I want to be a leader, after 5 weeks or so on. And then I approach them, hey, how about, training you as a leader? Oh, really? Yeah. And, encourage them. That's a joy for me. Mm-hmm. And definitely also seeing some fruit of the labor in the field, like sowing the books, and then find out that these people really believed in Jesus. Or you may have people that are drifting away from their church, from their faith, and then re-encouraging them. And I said, you know what? Thank you so much for doing that. I'm going back to my church. Or, it seems like you believe other things or better things, and they come and join my church, I think that the awesomest experience that I had in the canvassing, it was back in Czech Republic when God gave me a specific dream. I had a dream, and it was like that where briefly I had my whole county for myself, and there was another county above me, and in between those two counties there was one town right in between. And that knowledge evangelist from that county and we met once a week, always on Thursday, in the middle of town right there between those two counties, We work together in the morning shift, and we learn from each other. We help each other. And afternoon, we parted our ways. We pray together, and that way encouraging each other. And so that city, he had half of that city. I have other half of the city. And we mark it on the map, mark it, and after about a year, it was done. The whole map was black, marked. I go to bed, a couple of days later, and I had a dream. And I saw the whole city, the whole map, marked completely. But in the middle was one square that was white. And I look at it in my dream, and I'm like, interesting. Why do I see it? And it was right on the line between his territory and mine. But it was on his side of the street. I'm like, my side is on the south of the street. From that street, everything north is his, and that box was on the opposite side of the street.
So it was his.
It was his. And I'm like, no, my business is his business. So I wake up in the morning, forget it. Guess what? We don't go to the city because it's dawn. I think 2 days later, I had the same dream. Now I see the whole map and the city, and that square was just glowing. I'm like, Jesus, it's his territory. He should do it. I feel like he said he's done everything. I bet he went there. I forget it. 2 days later, I see it again, like glowing, really. I wake up like 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, I'm going. Man, I wake up. My wife was like, what's going on? I'm like, I had a dream 3 times. I told her. She was like, well, you better take all your books. I took my books. I went there immediately that morning. It turned out to be dormitory where I used to be a student 6 years before.
Wow.
A dormitory.
And you didn't know from the map.
I did remember.
Okay.
I did remember. I knew what that is on that map. I'm like, dorm. And I'm like, we go to school dorm. Anyway, I get in. I'm like, want to talk to the head dean. All right, he's upstairs. Go there, show him all the books. He says, yeah, I'll take all these, but not these devotional books. We don't. So, okay, fine. So he doesn't buy this devotional books from anyone. He buys everything else. And he looked at me and says, you used to be a student here, right? Years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I was. Okay. He bought the books. I walked downstairs, okay, and, oh no, he did not buy the cookbook. I had a cookbook also. Cookbook and devotional books. I go downstairs, and the lady in the front desk, actually, the receptionist, she was like, I'm like, hi. She was like, hold, come back here. You have books, right? Yeah. She says, do you have a cookbook? I'm like, I do. She was like, look at me. Don't I look? I need help. I'm like,
you don't want to answer that.
I didn't want to say, yeah, you do. I'm like, I think I have a book for you. I pulled the cookbook, man. And she was like, I bought this cookbook. She bought a cookbook. I'm like, okay, wow, that's awesome. I'm turning around, and I'm like almost leaving the door, and I hear my name again. Vlasta, is that you? I turn around. It was another dean. It was a lady, actually. We have ladies in the boys' dorms in Czech Republic.
They handle it well.
And she was like, hey, Vlasta, it's you. I'm like, yes. I turn around, go back. She was like, come here, and sit down. Yeah. She says, I heard that you became a Christian. Is it true? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I gave my heart to Jesus. She was like, look, I know nothing about it, but I have one student here that Jehovah's Witnesses are studying Bible with him. I don't understand it, but I don't think it's the right, people. And I asked him if he's going to study Bible with somebody else. Would you be willing? I'm like, yes. All right, when? So we signed up, and I come next Wednesday, and I study Bible with him. She was like, by the way, hold on. You came today for what? I'm like, well, I brought some books, your boss bought it. Everything, I'm like, not everything, there's something left. She was like, what is it? And I showed her what it is. All books from Ellen White. She was like, we buy the rest. Here, I am the librarian here. I'm the librarian. Okay, so I'm not racing for. So I saw all my books possible. Okay, everything. Long story short, we study Bible week after week. She is there also listening. He checked out after like 6 weeks. She remained. She says, I want Jesus. And
wow.
She got baptized. And that was 1996, 1996. I saw her just 2 years ago.
Wow.
Before COVID. Before COVID, I was in Czech Republic, and I saw her. And I actually asked her, do you know I actually had a dream? She was like, yeah, I know it. I'm like, well, I right? I don't remember if I ever told you. But anyhow, so, and then she bought a bunch of Bibles and she was inviting me to the dormitory like every month. She says, Vlasta, talk to these students, any topic you choose, I don't care. Talk to them about anything you want.
Wow.
So I was talking to the boys about relationships, about life priorities, about health, ministry program, about my walk with Jesus, everything. And on the one word I would say, there was always one kid in the back that was kind of disturbing, always funny questions, so I'm like, oh, this boy always, these questions, man. Anyhow, then I moved to US 2001, and I came back 2004, right? And I visited her again, and she says, Vlasta, I have to show you this. Do you remember that boy that was always disturbing like years ago? I'm like, oh, I remember that kid. She was like, guess this. He sent me a letter. I got it like a month ago. In that letter, look at this. He says he went to, how do you call it, parachute jumping. Okay. The parachute did not open properly.
Oh.
He hit the ground. He's paralyzed. He's paralyzed, and now he is reflecting on the purpose of life, everything. And he writes a letter. He says, now all what Vlasta said years ago comes back to my memory. I gave my heart to Jesus today.
Wow.
Because of what Vlasta said years ago. So sowing seeds, and you never know, man. And anyway, so it's far-reaching. Just keep doing, just faithfully, just keep doing. Just because you don't see results this month or this year, you may come back a couple years later. You don't know how far it goes. So I'm looking forward to that day when Jesus comes. I know there'll be a lot of people that will say this, and I'm like, wow.
I had no idea, but good to see.
So this is the joy, And other people in the church that I know today, they buy books from me, and I study Bible with them.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I think that's so cool that you get to see that, because I know for a lot of canvassers and just for people in general, with the whole kind of society push for immediate gratification, it's rare to see that. It's rare to experience that.
Exactly, because and I try to encourage the students, even those that just come canvassing maybe one summer. At the end of the summer, tell them, listen, you may not canvass again. I get it. That's fine. I still want to encourage you that somebody that bought a book from you a week ago will thank you, would like to thank you next month, but you're gone. No, it's just life. I understand it, but I want to encourage you. You still did something, Just like in my conversion story, it was a couple of facts, a couple of people, it's a different story for next time, that played a role in my conversion story, but they never find out that I became a Christian next year. There are a couple of people that I met once for 5 minutes. Seriously, once for 5 minutes, this man, that man, and I became a Christian and a missionary 25 years already. They don't know. They will find out one day.
Man, that's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good
so
time.
it's still worth it though. But if you stick longer, the longer you stick with the mission, the higher you chance that you will see some fruits of your labor.
That makes sense.
And that's encouraging.
You have to invest. You gotta be all in.
It takes time.
Man, that's amazing. Now, you've been dropping dimes this entire podcast, but I'm going to ask you to summarize the reason you believe that everyone should at least give canvassing a chance. What would you tell a student or a young person or anybody to convince them that this is worth taking a chance on?
I think the one is this. Often I have students that come to the canvassing or come to my office and they say, I want to try this work. And I look at their eyes and say, yes, this work will try you. Come on in. But in a good sense,
yes,
it will show you what you are made out of. How good snowflake you are. Or are you part of the snowball? Are you, you stick with others? Are you a team player? So you find your weaknesses and you find your strengths. It will show you who you are. This work is not gonna play with you. It's not gonna baby you. It's not for sissies. Yeah. All right. So that's the one I would say. Why? students should try it at least once for summer program.
Mm-hmm.
It will show you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be also positively surprised many times.
Mm-hmm.
You realize, man, I never thought I can do this. I never thought I can speak to people like that. I never thought I can be such a good team player, working with others. Kids come from all kinds of churches, backgrounds, nationalities, schools with a variety of rules, no rules. and you may be a really good one. So it will show you who you are and who you are not.
I like that. And I can testify to that. Because me coming in, I was an older canvasser when I started, and I'm still an introvert. People don't believe that I'm an introvert now because I learned how to talk to people. But that happened in canvassing.
the same thing, man, I guess. That's so true. If you saw me when I was 14, 15, you would just push me, I would fail, and I would just maybe run away. I was just like, introvert, exactly, man, and perfectionist, my little world, But when I became a Christian, I said, I want to think differently. And then when I was introduced to evangelism, I'm like, wow, I'm for adventure, a new life. I'm starting a really life anew with this Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just ready for anything that will come about. And this work tested me and developed me in. And I never thought I can be, speaking publicly in front of 20, 40, 100, hundreds of, students, people, thousands even. So it teaches you new skills, definitely. It develops things that are in you, but it just need to spring and grow, okay, and be cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's inside of each one of us. So Jesus will cultivate it and unlock it, okay? I believe in us, many skills in there, but it's like the seed in a pine cone that opens in some time by fire. When fire comes,
That's
it
when
opens,
it pops out.
and then it opens and it drops in the in the soil, and by the nutrients in the environment, it's growing, okay? So it needs sometimes the tough time, so we realize what's inside of us, and we unlock something that was hidden. And so, it changes us. Now, exactly the same as you say, who would believe that I was such an introvert, man?
Oh man, see, this is what I really love about it. I've said it before on podcasts, and I'll say it again. Growth only happens outside of your comfort zone. You will not grow if you stay in your comfort zone. It's not possible. It's not possible. You have to be willing to take that chance. And like Vlasta said, canvassing may not be for everybody. He understands that, I understand that. But you have to be willing to take the chance to do something different, something outside, to be able to give yourself the best opportunity to grow. And with God in the mix too, growth is always guaranteed. Vlasta, before we wrap it up, tell us how we can find out more about the canvassing work and where students can go to sign up.
Yes, I'm particularly, working now at Southern, if anybody is at Southern Adventist University, we have this canvassing team called Lead, and you can find it even on the website, southern.edu/lead, LEAD. And on that website you can see the pictures, applications, so on. So we have teams going out, every afternoon for a couple of hours. And besides that, I work officially for the Georgia Catholic Conference. So we have canvassing programs for the winter in December in South Georgia when it's still warm even in December. And then we have definitely the summer canvassing programs, all over the Georgia and half of Tennessee. And the website is frontlinemagabookministries.com. So on that website you can see the details about the program, you can sign up, you can see a bunch of nice pictures, they're all my pictures, I love my pictures, that's my hobby. And that can tell you a little more of the spirit of the work, how it looks like overall though. So it's frontlinemagabooksministries.com.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I hope you guys listening and those of you watching on YouTube, check it out. It's worth a shot. And I can guarantee you, if you go in with an open, unbiased mind, as Vlasta mentioned, you're gonna find something that you can take with you. Whether you like canvassing or not, you're gonna be able to find something that you can take with you that will apply to your life beyond canvassing. Vlasta, thank you so much for spending some time here with us on the pod. It's always a good time. I love hearing the stories. I could sit down here again and just listen and laugh all day.
You will laugh a lot, man. You will laugh a lot. There's so many, man. So many funny
I believe
ones.
it. And if you ever get around to making your podcast, I'll be the first one to subscribe to it.
Cool.
But hey, want to thank you guys for listening through Anchor Podcast, the platform that we broadcast this on, and it's available anywhere that you listen to your podcast. And we're live on YouTube. So check it out, like, subscribe, hit the button. You know what to do. You know how we roll. Comment down below about challenges and your experiences. If you're a canvasser listening, tell us some of your stories. I'd love to interview you on here too. But hey, my last word is to remember that to exist, it's not enough. To exist is not enough. We are out here to be, out here to truly live and to truly experience what it means to live with God out here. So until next time, let it do what it do, baby.
Amen. GB.
All right, that's a wrap.
Ah, that was